What's going on, guys? Gas Station here along with...
What's up, guys? I'm PheonixMaster1.
And we both have some pretty incredible Fire Emblem Heroes news to break. When Heroes data mining first began, data miners were easily able to rip the graphics from the game because they were simply PNG files. Intelligent systems eventually caught on to this and wanted to prevent people from releasing information ahead of the release date and started to encrypt their files, making it more difficult for data miners to rip the assets from the game. However, Kaz Kirigiri and other data miners have finished working on a decrypter for some of the game's bin files, which were previously unreadable, and discovered data for 4 new characters that have yet to be officially added. To view their stats, skills, and even voiced lines, they patched them over existing characters.
The now decrypted files revealed a bunch of assets for Sigurd and Deirdre, but now we have information on the other 2 characters as well. In this video, Gast and I will break down each character's stats and skills and anything else we discovered about them. And given that 2 characters have already been discovered, let's start with those.
As a descendant of Baldur, I must fight with honor above all else. My younger sister, Ethlyn, always tells me how lucky I am to have married Deirdre. But she's right. The moment I saw Deirdre in the Spirit Forest, I knew. I will fight for you, as a knight ought to for his comrades. I'm confident in most things, save for cleanliness. Much to my sister's ire. Well, do you need help with something? Once I set my mind on something, I will never back down. I promise.
First of all, let's start with Sigurd's max stats. He has got 43 HP, 33 base attack, 34 speed, 31 defense, and 14 resistance. Sigurd is an offensive Red Cavalier, however, he's also pretty bulky with 31 defense. Roy is the most offensive Red Cavalier in the game right now, and Xander is the most defensive Red Cavalier, so Sigurd is interestingly a mix of the 2. He's a very versatile unit and he can function well in both player phase and in the enemy phase. With Tyrfing, he gets even more bulky when he's below 50% HP. Apparently, just like Fire Emblem 4, his resistance is pitifully low, making him extremely susceptible to any kind of magic. Sigurd is even more powerful with the skill set. Canto, a skill that was first featured in Fire Emblem 4, greatly buffs Sigurd to become all around stronger if he hasn't used his full movement. While this skill is usable by physical mounts, it's still best used by cavaliers. With assist skills like swap, reposition, and drawback, it will of course close the gap and help utilizing Canto more consistently. Its bonuses are similar to Fury, but instead of the constant buff, the player will need precise positioning to make best use of this skill. Also, this skill can only be inherited to melee range units. Sigurd also comes with Panic Ploy. With his HP stats, he can debuff a lot of units on the battlefield and help his allies versus opposing Emblem teams and Blade Tome users. Interestingly, Sigurd's entire kit reflects well with how Sigurd played in Genealogy of the Holy War. Canto's extreme benefit to mounted units in Fire Emblem 4 has a similar effect here as well. Panic Ploy represents Sigurd's sheer dominance as a combat unit, usually having the capability to defeat most of his enemies. Place him on a Horse Emblem team and he will not only excel even more with Canto, but with Panic Ploy he can debuff other Emblem teams like Horse Emblem and effectively strike at them with plus 10 attack and plus 10 speed with Canto's skill.
Honestly, based on that description, I'd argue that Sigurd is probably the best Red Cav in the game hands down so far. He just seems so much more powerful than everyone else. Anyway, everyone knew that Sigurd was going to make it to Heroes eventually, but of course that meant that his lover, Deirdre, was also coming to Heroes.
So, where are you from? I would love to know more about your world. Allow me to help you in any way I can. I was never supposed to leave my village, but here I am. I would love for Seliph to grow up in a castle, just like this one. Battles come at such a terrible cost, so please, let me do my part. The elders told me that our love was forbidden, but Sigurd was such a gentleman. How could I resist? I couldn't wait to see Sigurd after he left my village. Aw, where did he run off to now?
Deirdre's max stats are as follows: 37 HP, 35 attack, 26 speed, 14 defense, and 36 res. Deirdre has the highest base attack for a staff user along with Jenny, and has better speed than her, but has really bad defense similar to how she was in FE4. Her resistance is the highest in the whole game, yeah, even surpassing Rice. She comes with her trademark Silent Staff, which is not yet released in Heroes. This staff is incredible in the mage-infested metagame of Heroes and allows her to safely shut down mages while also dealing some damage towards them. Now for her skills. As a healer, she of course has Rehabilitate, and her special is Swift Wind's Balm. But her A skill, Naga's Reflection, which is also a reference to her relationship with Naga in FE4, allows her to copy her opponent's boosts during combat. So for example, against a horse emblem unit, she will copy their boosts of +6 attack, +6 speed, defense, and res during combat, and will hit them very hard if the player decides to run Wrathful Staff for her slot B. Since healers cannot have access to skills like Life and Death, Death Blow, or Swift Sparrow, this will be a very unique skill. Deirdre's unique staff and her high offensive capability, if ran with Wrathful Staff, gives her the potential to be a wicked glass cannon staff user. But of course, just like in FE4, she's not very fast, and she's incredibly frail. So it was about time that Sigurd and Deirdre, possibly the most iconic Fire Emblem couple in the franchise as a whole, to make it into the game. But these next two characters were a complete surprise to both of us. With that said, let's talk about character number 3.
Deputy Shrek, at your service. Ogre power! I'll stuff you like haggis. Oh, yeah! No, you didn't!
Yep, I told you, when I saw this, I was as shocked as you guys are. But Shrek has a neutral portrait, voice-acted lines, and even stats and skills of his own, as you can see right in front of the screen. His max stats are the following: 51 HP, 42 attack, 28 speed, 35 defense, and 30 res. 42 max attack makes him the strongest character in the roster, and coupled with that huge HP stat, he's an absolute beast. 35 defense and 30 res are also monstrous. He basically has the defense of an armor, but the res of a mage. Shrek's only downfall is his speed, but even so, 28 speed isn't anything to completely scoff at. These stats make Shrek bordering on broken, but what solidifies him as already a top tier unit in the meta, or in a category of his own, are his weapons and skills. The Ogre Club, a weapon locked to Shrek himself, is a 16 might axe with Wary Fighter built into it, making him even harder to kill as enemies won't be able to take advantage of his low speed right off the bat. The only one who could possibly one-shot this guy is Brave Roy. What's perhaps even more ridiculous though is his A slot skill, Ogre Strike. This A skill, which is also locked to Shrek, is essentially the opposite of Defiant Attack. It gives him +7 attack if he is above 50% HP. It's ridiculous. This basically gives him 63 base attack from the start of the game. His C skill, which is yet another skill lock to Shrek, is Ogre's Roar. It is literally movement ploy and will reduce movement by 1 point to anyone facing the cardinal direction of Shrek. And lastly, Greenstorm is his special. It's an AoE that damages his enemies within his range. Shrek's skills, just like Sigurd and Deirdre's, were inspired by the media he was featured in. Ogre's Roar refers to his patented roar from the movies, and Greenstorm refers to his super move in Shrek Super Slam. Shrek's skills are simply overpowered. If you face Shrek in the arena, your run is done. His stats and skills are game-breaking, and honestly, I can't even imagine why Intelligent Systems was thinking of throwing Shrek in the roster with these massive stats. Your best bet to counter Shrek is a Roar Blade with Leo, or Tharia, or Brave Roy, but I suppose it's fitting for an ogre to be multiple times more powerful than a human.
Behold, the great Wildini! This might be alright. Woo! Woo! Come on, man, damn!
The final character in this patch is Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith's base stats are the following: 33 HP, 34 base attack, 40 speed, 25 defense, and 30 resistance. With these stats, he's the fastest character in the game and has the magic and resistance to make him quite a powerful blue mage. His personal weapon, the Noisy Cricket, is a 14 might tome with built-in hit and run. The combined speed, attack, and built-in skill of this tome makes Wildsmith an extremely helpful unit to pick off nearly all units from an even safer distance, and if he's squaring off against armored units, he literally will not be able to be touched by them if he initiates the combat and if they do not have distant counter or armor march boost. To add on to his movement superiority as an infantry unit, his slot B skill is Fresh Feet. It allows him to traverse any terrain if his own HP is at least 25% or higher. This makes it the third movement slot B skill, but this skill is not underwhelming like Pass or Obstruct. While he won't be able to traverse water or lava, he can cross mountain terrain just like flyers can. This allows Wildsmith to dominate other infantry units. His slot C skill is Flirtation, another smith-only skill that does boost the attack of adjacent female allies by 6 throughout their next action at the start of each turn. It's pretty straightforward, it's own attack but more effective and just for female characters. If you're running an infantry-based team, Wildsmith will be able to provide the best infantry buff in the game to 3 other female allies. Lastly, he has got Iceberg as his special. This special goes incredibly well with his high resistance stat. Wildsmith's kit strongly references the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but also Men in Black. The Noisy Cricket is the iconic gun he used in Men in Black, and Fresh Feet and Flirtation skills are references to Wildsmith's tendency to break out in dance and to impulsively flirt with any female he sees. Wildsmith's stats and kit make him a master of all trades. He can hit hard, kite his enemies until they simply die, but can also work as an effective support unit for any female character. With the right combination of assist skills like drawback, swap, or reposition, Wildsmith will actually break the game, and I have no doubt that these 4 characters are simply best for their weapon type, with the latter 2 being legitimately arena breaking.
If anyone meets any combination of these units in the arena, I guess the only thing we can say is just pick a god and pray. Well guys, I hope you are all excited as I am in anticipation for the release of these 4 characters. Personally, I'm very excited to see Shrek, my favorite Fire Emblem character, make it to Heroes. And thanks to PheonixMaster for joining me on this video and providing great insight on how these characters will work.
It was actually pretty fun, so thank you Gast for having me here.
Yes, and of course, PheonixMaster's channel is in the description, and he makes amazing Fire Emblem Heroes content. And of course, if you like this video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want more Fire Emblem Heroes news right off the press, subscribe. Deuces.